Congress faces a big week ahead in the ongoing investigation into the dead sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. Tomorrow, Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell will testify remotely before the House Oversight Committee. Her lawyer told MS Now this week she will exercise her Fifth Amendment right to stay silent. Tomorrow is also when the Justice Department is allowing members of Congress to review the unredacted versions of the 3 million recently released Epstein files. Joining us now is Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury of New Mexico, who serves on the House Oversight Committee. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to get into Ghislaine Maxwell and all of that, but there were also other depositions that are coming. Ghislaine Maxwell, as I said, is on February 9th. February 26th and 27th, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, respectively. Respectively? We're moving on.
Respectively.
Thank you very much.
It's Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's Sunday morning. You voted in favor of holding Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in contempt if they weren't to testify. You know, there's a lot of Democrats who have a lot of questions about the 9 folks that voted in favor of holding Bill Clinton in contempt and the 3 that voted to hold Hillary Clinton in contempt. You did both. Talk to people about why you did that. What precedent were you trying to set?
Yeah, well, I think it's really important for people to understand the context of this vote. The vote actually never went to the House floor, and it's important to understand that James Comer, the chairman of the committee, is not holding Pam Bondi in contempt. He's not holding Todd Blanche in contempt, who have been lying to the American people about this case, but politically chose to hold the Clintons in contempt after they did not appear on the morning of their scheduled deposition. And the truth is, they didn't appear, and they did notify the committee shortly before they were scheduled to appear, but they didn't attend. And so it was very important, I felt, in the committee vote to establish that this is not negotiable. If Congress subpoenas anybody, whether you're a former or a sitting president, you appear before Congress. And so for me, it's about preserving the subpoena power of Congress and the investigatory powers of Congress, especially as the #1 individual who is named in the Epstein files is Donald Trump himself. And in fact, he has already voiced to Republicans that he is scared of being held in contempt and hauled in front of the committee over this case.
Yeah, I think that's right. A lot of folks want to see President Trump doing the same thing that Bill Clinton's going to do. But on the Hillary Clinton of it all, I don't think we've seen Hillary Clinton's name in the Epstein files. Why vote in contempt of her as well?
Well, she was subpoenaed. And so, you know,
what did you want to hear from Hillary Clinton if her name wasn't in the files? Is a better question.
Well, let me be clear. The vote that we took was about the failure to appear for a deposition. It was not a broader statement in terms of my vote about whether or not they have information. I don't know if she has information or not. We know that Bill Clinton's name appears many times within the files, and I think any individual who's named in the files who may have information about Epstein and the network of not only individuals that were involved in sex trafficking, but money laundering, influence peddling, and now we're seeing foreign governments in which he was trading information. I think it's very important that they appear in front of the committee.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fair, though, Congresswoman, that the former Secretary of State is going to have to potentially answer questions about someone's conduct that is not herself, that is going to maybe go into some uncomfortable personal details when, again, she has exhibited no connection to the Epstein files?
Hillary Clinton was subpoenaed by Congress, and the committee voted on a bipartisan basis to subpoena both of the Clintons, and they have negotiated to appear. And I think anybody who knows Hillary Clinton knows she can hold her own. And she is saying, let me at it, turn on the cameras. I'm ready to tell my story. So, you know, she will have her time to tell her story. And I'm grateful that she is making a public statement.
And have you had any conversations with your Republican colleagues about starting the process of calling Donald Trump to testify?
You know, we have a list of individuals that we would like to subpoena, and I think that the Republicans know very well that we would like to subpoena Donald Trump. Certainly, he has a lot of questions to answer.
Congresswoman, let's talk about somebody, one, who is super relevant to this conversation, and 2, who is actually going to testify before your committee, and that is Ghislaine Maxwell. We were talking around the table trying to understand, what is the committee going to get from testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell that isn't already out there in the transcripts of her very unusual interview with the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, who just so happens to be the former personal attorney of Donald J. Trump?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers have notified the committee that she doesn't plan to share any information and is planning to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights in the deposition tomorrow. I'm currently in New Mexico. I'm planning to fly back tonight so that I can attend in person. She'll be Zooming in remotely from prison. But listen, she didn't even take the stand in her own trial in which she was convicted of sex trafficking with 20-year prison sentence. She has clearly been covering not only her own tracks, but shielding other co-conspirators and the very wealthy elite circles in which she traversed and trafficked underage girls to. And we would hope that she would come in and actually provide useful information that would lead to further investigations and potential convictions of those individuals. But it appears that she does not plan to do that. I think that we have to put this all in the context of that. You know, as I said, Donald Trump is the #1 named individual. There's over 3 dozen of his associates, including his wife. Howard Lutnick was apparently in business with Jeffrey Epstein. We know that Elon Musk was talking about going and partying on his island. I mean, I joked, but, you know, it's like the entire Trump administration is a Epstein Island after party. And so why is she remaining silent? And I think it's very clear that she is seeking either a commutation or a pardon of her sentence. That's based on not only what she's done in the courts, but, you know, Donald Trump made an offhanded comment yet again about giving her a pardon. And I mean, I think between the transfer, highly unusual transfer of her to Club Fed and him talking openly about pardoning her, it appears that he's buying her silence. And I think it's really important that we hear what she has to share. It's about getting justice for the victims, and it's about convicting individuals who were involved in crimes.
Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, thank you so much for joining us this morning.